Hello, just going to give myself a lesson here to highlight how I would use video analysis, how you can use it to improve your swing, using a framework of a few lines, looking at a few key positions, and also in comparison, in this case, with Justin Rose on the right, who has one of the most neutral, efficient swings on tour. You don't want to blindly copy a tour professional, but when someone's as neutral and as consistent as him, it's a really good framework to look at when we go through certain positions and just see if you're in a similar line. So starting with setup, the thing I notice about my own setup here with mid-iron is I'm a little bit further away than I would probably like. We're looking for the hands to be straight down, hanging from the shoulder. And that's a really good way of building an iron setup and then building your distance from the ball from that. So if I can stand a ball closer or half a ball closer and just drop my hands into the same position there as on the right, that should be a pretty neutral setup. In the takeaway, what we're looking for when the shaft is more or less parallel with the ground is that the club would be just under the line that I've drawn there. The line that I've drawn, diagonal line, is from the ball to the elbow and through the elbow. So that's a really good indicator of swing plane. You can see the takeaway there is pretty similar. I have a preference for, especially if anyone is having difficulty slicing the ball to the right, I have a preference for getting the club face to be angled very slightly in a slightly toe down position. That I would consider pretty neutral club face. If the club's fanned up to the sky, it's a little bit more likely you're going to bring in an open club face at impact. So a strong club face in the takeaway, one that is slightly toe down, I think is a pretty beneficial position. The club is also nicely in line with the hands as it passes through there. So that shaft parallel is a good checkpoint. If the club is way outside the hands or way behind your body, even in some cases behind your butt, that can take the club way too inside, cause problems from there. So when the club, in the next position, when the left arm is parallel with the ground, we want to be on or under that line. Again, pretty happy with that. My hands are in the same place, pretty much mid-chest at the left arm parallel position. This position is known as P3 in golf instruction lingo. So pretty happy so far with my takeaway and the backswing, club face, arm position. Go to the top. Some slight differences, but again, not too displeased with that. The one thing I would look for is the leading edge of the club face. What is the orientation like in that? It could be on, parallel to, or slightly close to the lead forearm. You'd be in a pretty strong position. So again, fairly happy with that. One thing I'm noticing now is the line behind my body. I would call this an early extension line. My pelvis is just eased off that line on the way back. And you can see Justin's done a really good job of just staying on the line, even penetrating the line, maintaining really good posture. Again, that's just an elite move. And if you can maintain the pelvis in the same position, rotate around it and not go forward and not go back, it's going to result in extremely efficient ball striking. So definitely something that I would highlight, something I've been aware of actually for a while. It's easy to diagnose some things and harder to fix them. But overall, through the backswing, in terms of the club face, swing plane, top, it's pretty good. So we come down, back down, we're looking for the downswing to be really back on the same line. Again, the shaft's in a good position. So if my club face is organised and the swing plane is on plane like that, the path is going to be fairly neutral. I should be hitting pretty straight shots. It's very easy to get the club and the shaft and the arms way out of this position. But knowing what to aim for is a good first step, and then looking at ways to implement a good path on the way down is the next step. So something I would always check. I wouldn't always be sure that I'm going to stay on plane, my swing's going to stay the same as months and years go by. So you've got to stay on top of your golf swing, keep checking it, keep using lines like this, framework like this, and then you know what to look for. Let me just get rid of all these lines now. Again, my pelvis has moved a little bit towards the ball, so if I stand a little bit closer and work my hips better, I could get some improvements there. Coming into impact, ball first, strike, turf second, which is what we're looking for. Same with Justin. And then if I just go through to over here, again, as a result of that slight late turn in my hip and the way I lost my posture slightly, his hip turn is going to be looking a little bit stronger than mine. It comes around nice and early. The thing I like about his swing is his body is in charge the entire way, especially the lower body. Uses his knees, uses his legs, uses his core to rotate. And if your body's in charge of your golf swing and you're not using your hands and arms too much, that generally leads to really efficient ball striking, consistent ball striking. So yeah, I would probably prefer the swing on the right. Having said that, throughout the swing, there were no real red flags in terms of club face, swing plane, not over plane, not under plane, not over the top, not out to in, not in to out. So I can, when I'm striking it well, hit it fairly straight on that basis, but definitely some improvements to be made. So that's a good example of video analysis. If you'd like me to have a look at that for yourself, it's definitely something worth exploring, and breaking it down within the framework of the lines that I've drawn and cross-checking it against a few pro models gives you a great indicator of where you are and what you might need to work on moving forwards.